The Obi-Wan Kenobi series is almost here. As we prepare, I thought now was a good time to run through 101 facts about the character. I'll be talking about his original development for the first Star Wars film, information from behind the scenes, and some in-universe facts that you can't get from watching the movies or the live-action shows. So we'll be talking animation, books, comics, and reference materials. So let's dive in. The basic idea of the older warrior archetype in Star Wars goes back as far as 1973 in the first treatment for The Star Wars. Around that time, George Lucas wrote down names he simply found interesting. Included in one of those early lists were Lars, Layla, Owen, Mace, Juan, Bail, Biggs, Clegg, and Valorum, all of which would go on to be used in some form in the various Star Wars films. The first version of the Elder Warrior was actually named Luke Skywalker. The warrior character came to be called Ben Kenobi in 1975 during the development of the third draft of the script. The full name, Obi-Wan Kenobi, didn't appear until the fourth draft in 1976. George Lucas initially wanted to cast legendary Japanese actor Toshiro Mifune in the role of Kenobi and even made an inquiry, but obviously that was not meant to be. Lucas reached out to Alec Guinness around the same time. The actor was hesitant to star in a science fiction film, which he felt was cheesy, but after reading the script, found himself enthralled. In the original shooting script for Star Wars, Obi-Wan survived. Lucas decided to kill the character while they were shooting in Tunisia, since Kenobi basically had nothing to do after escaping the Death Star. Alec Guinness was displeased with the script change at first, but after a dinner with Lucas understood that his death would have more impact than simply standing around the Rebel base for the rest of the film. The actor was known to be somewhat mischievous on set. Lucas said he would ask for scenes to be explained in great detail, even though he understood everything completely. Obi-Wan's hut was originally going to be a bizarre three-story cave carved out of rock as described by Lucas, but budget cuts forced it to be changed into a simple home. Guinness was nominated for an Academy Award for Best Supporting Actor, which to this day is the only acting Oscar nomination any Star Wars film has ever received. He was paid £15,000 per week and 2.25% of the film's net profits for playing the role. That would be one of the biggest paychecks of his career, totaling $2.8 million in the film's initial run. Illness nearly prevented Guinness from returning for The Empire Strikes Back, but the script was written so that he could return with minimal effort. He spent less than 5 hours on set for the film. He was paid 1/4% of its gross receipts, which came out to over $1 million. That's about $200,000 per hour of work. At the time of filming, Mark Hamill was one of the few people that knew Darth Vader was Luke's father. While filming the iconic scene, actor David Prowse delivered the line, "Obi-Wan killed your father." After The Empire Strikes Back was released, several fans theorized that the Emperor was an evil clone of Obi-Wan. In early versions of Return of the Jedi, Obi-Wan would have appeared as a Force ghost to both Darth Vader and the Emperor. Unfortunately, Guinness didn't really like Obi-Wan's role in Episode 6. In his own biography, he called it a rotten, dull little bit, but he felt it would have been mean to refuse the role in the final film. He worked for 2 days on Return of the Jedi. He actually asked for a more discreet screen credit on the film, feeling that a larger credit wouldn't be fair to the other actors. By the time of his death, Guinness made more than $50 million from the Star Wars films, more than his pay for his next 40 biggest movies combined. Ewan McGregor, who played Obi-Wan in the prequel films, comes from Star Wars royalty, as he is the nephew of Dennis Lawson, who played Wedge Antilles in the original trilogy. Nash Edgerton served as McGregor's stunt double in Attack of the Clones and Revenge of the Sith. He is the brother of Joel Edgerton, who played Owen Lars in the same 2 films. Alec Guinness's voice was used in The Force Awakens and The Rise of Skywalker. The line "afraid" was edited so that it sounded like the spirit of Kenobi was calling out Rey's name. Rian Johnson considered including Obi-Wan's Force ghost in The Last Jedi, but decided to use Yoda instead since Luke had never been seen interacting with Ewan McGregor's version of the character. George Lucas casually named Obi-Wan's homeworld at Star Wars Celebration 5 in 2010, named after the host of The Daily Show, Jon Stewart. The fact has since been confirmed in reference books. And that's the perfect segue into in-universe facts. Obi-Wan Kenobi was born on the planet Stu-Jon. He was taken to the Jedi Temple on Coruscant before he was even 6 months old. He became the Padawan of Qui-Gon Jinn at the age of 12. Obi-Wan had a crush on a fellow Padawan named Siri Tachi, who was a love interest of Kenobi's in Star Wars Legends as well. The book From a Certain Point of View, The Empire Strikes Back mentioned her, bringing her existence into canon. But Obi-Wan's primary love interest was Duchess Satine Kryze, sister of Bo-Katan Kryze from The Mandalorian. They developed feelings for each other about 20 years before the Clone Wars, when Obi-Wan and Qui-Gon were tasked with her protection from Mandalorian insurgents. They lived on the run for about a year. During this time, Obi-Wan first met an information broker named Dexter Jettster, a being who remained a close friend and reliable source of information for years to come. After nearly 3 years of working together, Qui-Gon and Obi-Wan felt they weren't a good fit. Qui-Gon nearly passed Obi-Wan on to a new master when he was offered a seat on the Jedi Council, but a mission to the planet Pyjal proved to be the formative moment in their relationship, and Qui-Gon remained Obi-Wan's master. While on Pyjal, Kenobi had a very dangerous experience flying a starfighter that led to his dislike of flying. Prior to that incident, Obi-Wan actually quite enjoyed flying. On Pyjal, Kenobi briefly used a crystal called a Colon Crystal in his lightsaber, which gave it an orange glow and a non-lethal attack power. During his first year as Anakin Skywalker's master, Obi-Wan would sometimes awaken to see the young boy sleeping on the floor next to his bed, fearful of losing another parental figure so shortly after his mother and Qui-Gon. When Anakin was 12 years old, he briefly considered leaving the Jedi Order, and Obi-Wan resolved to leave as well to continue his training in the Force if that decision were made. A mission to the war-torn planet Carnelian IV changed Anakin's mind, and of course, he remained within Jedi ranks. After the Battle of Geonosis, several Jedi rotated in and out of the fallen Jedi Master Coleman Trevor's seat on the Jedi Council. Obi-Wan was one of the Jedi Masters given that temporary honor. In the early days of the Clone Wars, Obi-Wan was sent to Cato Nemoidia, a neutral world that had experienced a terrorist attack. His job was to clear the Republic of any blame. During that mission, he developed a reputation as the Negotiator. On that planet, Anakin Skywalker saved his life. Or did Obi-Wan have it all under control? That's up to readers of the new book Brotherhood to decide. He also met Sith assassin Asajj Ventress for the first time on Cato Nemoidia, and that mission led to his permanent assignment to the Jedi Council. Obi-Wan and Anakin took command of the Open Circle fleet during the Clone Wars. Did you know that Kenobi committed a war crime on the planet Christophsis? He gave a false surrender to General Loathsome to buy time for Anakin and Ahsoka Tano to destroy Separatist defenses. Obi-Wan had several run-ins with the bounty hunter Cad Bane, who recently appeared in the Book of Boba Fett. Their first interaction saw him chasing Bane across the galaxy as he kidnapped Force-sensitive babies for the Sith. After surviving the Battle of Geonosis at the start of the Clone Wars, Kenobi had to return to the planet where he battled against Geonosian brainworms that could turn their victims into mind-controlled zombies. Obi-Wan also had to confront his past with Satine Kryze when he returned to Mandalore to investigate the possibility that they would join the Separatists. There, he was perhaps the first Jedi in 1,000 years to see the Darksaber, which was in the hands of Tar Vizsla's descendant, Pre Vizsla. Obi-Wan was one of potentially only 3 Jedi to ever visit the mystical realm of Mortis. There he met 3 immensely powerful beings in the Force, the Father, the Son, and the Daughter. On Mortis, he also potentially spoke with the spirit of his old master, Qui-Gon Jinn, although it's possible that experience was an illusion. At some point, he traveled to another trippy planet called Gazian, which held a vergence in the Force called the Living Sea. It was able to copy a person's consciousness at that point in time, allowing Jedi of the present to speak with Jedi of the past. Kenobi first met Wilhuff Tarkin during the Clone Wars as part of a rescue mission on the planet Lola Sayu. The two would become enemies after the rise of the Galactic Empire. Obi-Wan also helped provide reinforcements for future rebel hero Gial Akbar when the Separatists invaded Mon Cala. Did you know Obi-Wan Kenobi died once? Not really, but he did fake his own death even to Anakin so he could go undercover in a Republic prison. There his alter ego teamed up with Cad Bane to break out of the prison and join an assassination plot against Chancellor Palpatine, which Kenobi eventually stopped. During his time undercover, he proved to be an excellent marksman, even though he far preferred more civilized weapons like lightsabers. Speaking of fake deaths, Obi-Wan faced off against Maul for the second time during the Clone Wars when the former Sith apprentice resurfaced in the galaxy. Maul lured Kenobi to Mandalore where he murdered Duchess Satine in front of his nemesis. Obi-Wan escaped thanks to assistance from Bo-Katan Kryze, and that's when he learned that she was Satine's sister. When Ahsoka Tano was framed for sedition against the Republic, Obi-Wan was one of the few members of the Jedi Council to oppose her expulsion from the Jedi Order. During an investigation into the origins of the Clone Army, Kenobi traveled to Obadiah, the home world of the Pike Syndicate, which sat just outside of the Kessel Run. In an unfinished arc of the Clone Wars, he also would have come across a giant kyber crystal that was planned to be used in the secret construction of the Death Star, but Obi-Wan and Anakin ensured its destruction, although they didn't learn of its true purpose. While taking part in the Outer Rim sieges, it became clear that Kenobi knew more about Skywalker's secret relationship with Padme than he usually let on. Obi-Wan nearly took part in the Siege of Mandalore after Maul returned to the planet, but the attack on Coruscant from Revenge of the Sith called him back to the Republic's capital. Kenobi was given the idea to use the Jedi Temple's signal to warn survivors of Order 66 away from Coruscant by a young Caleb Dume, who would go on to be Kanan Jarrus from Star Wars Rebels. Kenobi dueled General Grievous at least 7 times over the course of the Clone Wars. Shortly after Anakin's transformation into Darth Vader, the new Sith Lord had a vision of tracking down his former master and friend to beg for forgiveness, but it was a vision he ultimately rejected. Obi-Wan wanted to train Luke Skywalker from a much earlier age, but Owen Lars insisted against it, going so far as to punch the Jedi Master in the face. Still, Kenobi protected Luke and the Lars family. When Luke attempted to steal water from Jabba the Hutt's thugs during a great drought, Obi-Wan secretly saved him and delivered him home. That incident led to Jabba sending one of his bounty hunters after the Jedi, the Wookiee Black Krrsantan. During their battle, Obi-Wan gave the Wookiee a scar over his eye that can still be seen in the Book of Boba Fett. When Luke crashed the family Skyhopper, Obi-Wan secretly donated the parts needed to fix it, but Owen returned them to his hut and once again demanded he stay out of Luke's life. About 10 years after the destruction of the Jedi Order, Obi-Wan learned to commune with Qui-Gon Jinn's spirit. According to a Star Wars webtoon comic, which is admittedly in a canon gray area, Obi-Wan officially met Luke for the first time when he was 12 years old, after the man saved him from a krayt dragon in the desert. A Tatooine legend told by droids labeled Obi-Wan as a Santa Claus-type figure called the Oil Bringer. He was said to rescue droids from Jawas and repair them if he could. 17 years into his exile, Obi-Wan met the young Jedi Padawan Ezra Bridger, who had been lured to Tatooine by Maul. Maul and Kenobi dueled one final time, with Obi-Wan quickly defeating his longtime enemy. Kenobi still honored Maul, holding him as he died and building a funeral pyre in the desert. Obi-Wan and Maul dueled at least 4 times over the course of their lives. Right before Luke returned to Obi-Wan after seeing the destruction of the Lars homestead, Kenobi spoke with the spirit of Qui-Gon Jinn one final time. A few days after becoming one with the Force himself on the Death Star, Obi-Wan's spirit visited Yoda on Dagobah. They argued over whether Leia or Luke was the best candidate to be trained as a Jedi. On the planet Vrogus Voss, both Luke and Darth Vader heard the voice of Obi-Wan Kenobi at a long-abandoned Jedi temple. When Luke traveled to Dagobah to train with Yoda, Obi-Wan had to convince the old Jedi Master again and again to continue teaching the young Skywalker. Both Obi-Wan and Yoda continued to guide Luke after their deaths as he became a Jedi Master. They also spoke with Leia during her brief time training as a Jedi. Luke's green lightsaber design is partially inspired by the last lightsaber Obi-Wan used when he first began their training. During his life, Obi-Wan Kenobi specialized in Form 3 of lightsaber combat, Soresu, which was primarily a defensive style. He was also skilled in the art of Jar Kai, which was the use of 2 lightsabers at the same time. And for some non-Star Wars facts, there are 2 references to Obi-Wan in the Indiana Jones films. At the start of Raiders of the Lost Ark, the plane has the letters OBCPO written on its side, a nod to both Obi-Wan and C-3PO. At the start of the Temple of Doom, Indiana Jones and Willie Scott escape a nightclub called Club Obi-Wan. And there you go, 101 facts about Obi-Wan Kenobi taken from Star Wars animation, books, comics, behind the scenes, and more. Let me know what other characters or things from Star Wars you'd like to see 101 facts from in the comments. If you haven't already, please like this video, subscribe to the channel, follow us on TikTok, Twitter, and Instagram, and consider checking out our Patreon page. As always, thanks for watching, and may the Force be with you.